Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, let's take a look at a ship that I haven't covered in, I think, years. The glorious Tier 4 American Tech Tree Destroyer, USS Farragut. Now, today I have a couple of highlights for you from the ranked 1 vs 1 season, in which I mostly spammed the Farragut and had great results. In fact, in this particular ship, during this season, I played 15 games and lost 2 of them. One was to a very, very well-played Jaguar, whatever you call it, the French Tier 4 destroyer, played by Basic Funk, I think a subscriber of this channel, and it was a nice 1 vs 1 duel. He ended up coming out on top. He played very, very well in that French destroyer, and he was able to take me out. The other time I lost against a Königsberg, which frankly is to be expected, but I did take away like 18,000 of his hit points in the process, so I put up a good fight. The game that I'm going to end this sort of highlight reel on is a game versus another cruiser in which I won, and it was one of my prouder moments in any ranked season of this game. But this first highlight here against the T-22, that's sort of how the flavor of games went. You know what I mean? Although the T-22, maybe it's not too much of a bad choice for 1v1 Tier 4 ranked, it is a fairly okay gunboat, and, well, it's just not as good as the Farragut. Let's put it that way. The Farragut has 5 guns, 5 127mm guns that I think reload in a little bit over 3 seconds, so it can put out the firepower very, very well. And if you're going to be playing in 1 vs 1 ranked, well, most often you're going to be faced up against another destroyer, and in that context, guns trump torpedoes by far. I've said this a little bit before, but take note of the enemy destroyer facing us in this particular game. It is a Minikaze, and as you can imagine, this game is going to be quite short. The Minikaze, despite belonging to the quote-unquote gunboat line of the IJN destroyer line, is in no way a gunboat. It is more of a poor man's kamikaze, and the torpedoes are where it's all at. If you're going to take out an IJN torpedo boat into 1v1 ranked, expect to lose. Now, there are some scenarios where you could win. You could catch your enemy with a torp, but catching another destroyer with a torp is, how do we put this, unreliable. The guns are where the reliability comes in. And even if you're going to outspot this Farragut by like a kilometer, well, it's just not going to work out for you, especially if you beat yourself right in front of the Farragut, as this Minikaze did. Now he's smoking up, and we are anticipating that he probably launched torpedoes our way, so we do want to turn around and try to perhaps dodge any incoming metal fishes. We managed to take this cap as well, and there, of course, are his torpedoes. He only launches 2 per torpedo launcher, so they're not all that difficult to dodge. And now all that remains is to go hunt him down and show him that the Minikaze is not, in fact, the best choice for Tier 4 ranked. Now, as far as Tier 5 ranked goes, I think I might be trying the Mayhan to begin with, because these American Gunboat DDs, I mean, at least at this tier, the Farragut, I don't think it can be argued, is top dog. There's very little that can stand up to it, and this Minikaze, he can chase me all he wants. I've not lost a single hit point, and I finished the game not losing a single hit point, because again, it is a gunboat destroyer that you want in a game like this, not a torpedo boat. Now here, we see a game that is a little bit more of a challenge for me. Now I've said so far that the Farragut is the top dog. It is the king of the Tier 4 destroyers. That is a hill I'm willing to die on. But things can be tricky if you find yourself playing the Farragut facing off against another Farragut, because the other Farragut is going to have all of the same benefits that you do. But here's the key, and this is where I suppose some of the skill comes in. One of the top things for destroyers is, of course, its concealment. And if you're going to fight another gunboat destroyer who is equal in terms of power to you, and he beats you in the concealment game, there he is, he gets the first shot off, and he's going to have a little bit of success in this initial trade. He's doing some maneuvering here. He's already hit us for like about 2,000 hit points, and now we're in a position where we're forced to sort of run away. We deploy our smoke screen. If this destroyer has the concealment advantage over us, then we want to remove that concealment advantage, and we want to sail a little bit away, sort of reset the situation, perhaps get him to push into our smoke screen. At least that's my plan here. So we launch some torpedoes, one narrow spread, one wide spread. They aren't really designed to actually hit him. They're sort of designed to give him an indication of where we are, and of course he can keep tabs on us using the RPF indicator that he gets by virtue of having probably twist and track on his commander. So hopefully he thinks we're still sort of inside of this smoke screen, and he's going to push into it and push all the way through it. That is my hope anyway, and if he does, then we're going to spot each other at the same time, and I'm going to have my guns pointed directly at him, sort of negating any concealment advantage or any first shot advantage he might have, and he does exactly that. So as soon as he does, we're going to start messing with the throttle. We're going to kick all the way into reverse. We're going to go all the way up into full. This is something you want to do if you're fighting in 1v1 fights with gunboat destroyers. Use that throttle. It really throws off their shots. We were able to throw off, I think, 2 of his salvos there by using the throttle, and as a result, we've taken him down to less hit points than us, and we're able to take him out and win the game using some maneuverability there. So sometimes it can come down to maneuverability, not just gun power, and there is a good example of that, facing off against an opponent who initially had an advantage over us in the form of hit points. And now we transition into the penultimate game before the climax of me versus a cruiser. This game is versus another Farragut, and torpedoes are, for once in this ranked season, going to come into play. Now, as I was saying a little bit earlier, it's guns that you want to focus on in destroyer v destroyer fights because torpedoes are less reliable than guns. You shoot them out of torpedo tubes, they travel in a straight line at a set distance and a set speed, and if the target you're launching them at changes their course, they can easily avoid them, especially if they're a maneuverable vessel like a destroyer. So there's a lot of luck and RNG involved with launching torpedoes at other destroyers, whereas guns, much more consistent. We are going to launch torpedoes, though. This Farragut comes out around the corner there. We launch 2 wide spreads right next to each other, trying to create a line of torpedoes where there are very few gaps that this Farragut can sneak through. And we successfully do that, like, to the letter. One of the torpedoes catches him on the bow, and that is enough for us to be able to finish him off easily and win this game. So there's one example of torpedoes actually coming into play. But again, I played 15 games in the Farragut this season, and this, I think, is the only game where torpedoes actually came into play and made a decisive difference. So as we transition into this game, just remember that torpedoes in destroyer v destroyer fights, usually not the deciding factor, it's the guns. Now this game, this is one of my prouder moments in any ranked season. We're squaring off against a cruiser, because in this 1v1 ranked format, there is no limit to what the ship you're going to face is. Most often, it seems to work out in practice that if you take out a particular class of ship, you will face the same class, but sometimes you'll face a different class. So a destroyer could face a cruiser could face a battleship could face a destroyer, and in this case we are facing the Tier 4 French cruiser Émile Bertin. And in order to win, we're going to have to use every advantage we have. The first of which is our concealment and the second of which is our maneuverability. So we get close enough to the Emil, but we have an escape route. This is very important. We're able to put the island between ourselves and the Emil, which is going to give us a temporary reprieve. It's going to mean that he can't shoot at us for at least a little bit. And his plane is still spotting us by the air, and he's close enough that if he comes around the corner of that island, he's still going to be in spotting range of us. But we have a smoke screen, so we're going to deploy that as he takes a few of our hit points away, and you can see we really can't afford to let him shoot us that much. Now we switch to the armor piercing. This is a actually unique case. Most of the time, if you've got a cruiser 4 kilometers away from you giving flat broadside in a Farragut, you'll be able to rip into his citadel with your armor piercing. Not necessarily the case with the French cruisers, because they do have that unique spaced armor. And what tends to happen is your tiny little shells will penetrate the outside layer of armor, but before they can get to the inside layer of armor that protects the citadel, they will, I suppose, detonate, and then you will not be able to strike the citadel because of that spaced armor. I think that's what happened there. Nevertheless, we've taken away 13,000 hit points from that Emil, and we forced him on the back foot. But we can't see him anymore, so we want to reverse out of this smoke screen just enough to spot him, and there he is. We're not going to shoot our guns yet. We're going to wait till we are going forward, and we're almost inside of the smoke screen before we shoot again. The idea is we want him to shoot back at us, but we want him to be close enough to us that his smoke firing penalty keeps him spotted. Every ship has a smoke firing penalty, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and when they fire their guns, it means that for a time they will be visible even inside smoke or outside smoke at a certain range. Now, that range for the Emil appears to be somewhere within 4 kilometers, because you see he shot at us and he's still spotted, and that's exactly what we want. That means as he pushes into us, we are able to damage him, and he is going to struggle to hit us in return, which means he is now dead. So we win that game, 1 versus 1 in a destroyer versus a cruiser. I think one of my prouder moments in any ranked season. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the Farragut in Tier 4 ranked 1v1. I highly recommend this ship if you have not tried this season yet. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.